It's Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020. Digital Trends Live is about to start. Here are some of the topics we're covering on today's episode of the show. With a myriad of security concerns that have arisen, Zoom is now sending out an update to address some of the issues. Plus, a new feature is on the way to combat Zoom bombing. And for all of you parents out there, Facebook is rolling out new features for Messenger Kids that should, in theory, make your lives easier. We'll let you know what the updates entail. Plus, from the hit reality show on Bravo Network, we'll be joined by two of the stars of Family Karma, Anisha Ramakrishna and Brian Benny, to discuss life in quarantine and the upcoming season finale. And with the NFL draft starting tomorrow, our own Riley Wynn virtually sat down with star wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr. to talk about what it's like to prepare for this unique situation while still at home under quarantine. All of this and more on today's episode of Digital Trends Live. And hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you are. We do appreciate it. We broadcast live here every single weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and so much more, all while broadcasting live across a number of different platforms. We're on Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Dailymotion, Apple News, 2 different mobile apps, a smart television app, and at digitaltrends.com/live. So wherever you're watching, whatever platform you're watching on, you can join us in the conversations that we get to have. And thanks to everybody who is here with us today. As usual, we want to start off with bringing you some updates in association with the battle against COVID-19 and tech and how it's all coming together. And to start off, let's talk about Zoom. We're all familiar with Zoom now, right? Because that is how we're all teleconferencing, or a lot of people are, for their businesses. And what we're seeing is some updates that are finally going to be rolling out. So Zoom, they just exploding in usage over the last month or so. It went from, I think, 10 million active users in December to 200 million over this last couple of weeks, because people are using it consistently now. And with that have come a lot of security concerns. So now there's a Zoom 5.0 update that's going to start rolling out today. So you start to see this today, where it's going to say, hey, you need to update a couple of things that are going to be on there. They'll enable passwords by default for almost all customers. So the password, which was something that we had seen a little bit of before, but now it's really going to be in there. You're going to be able to lock meetings to keep people from getting out. You can remove participants. You can restrict screen sharing and chatting in meetings. So it's going to give a lot more power to the people who are setting up the meetings. It's also going to have, there's Basic, the Single License Pro, and Education accounts. So there's a waiting room feature that's going to be by default on all of those. And again, some of this you've seen a little bit of, but now it's officially coming out. Along with that, they also said that coming up, I believe it's on Sunday, April 26th, there's another new feature that'll go on there where you can report somebody who's Zoom bombing. Now, that's definitely become a huge issue. People joining into these chats and just ruining everything. And so what's going to happen with that is you'll be able to generate a report. It'll be sent to the Zoom Trust and Safety team. And then they'll evaluate any misuse of the platform and block a user if necessary. So at least it's a step in the right direction to address some of those concerns of people who are jumping in there. But that's something I think, with all of us using this stuff right now, and with Zoom trying to play catch up a little bit with security, that's some things you're going to see rolling out. So again, just bringing you up to date on some of the news that will affect you. One more thing, we did have YouTube, who talked a little bit more about usage of their platform, which has skyrocketed, not surprisingly, during this time. And they said that they've seen a 75% increase of people watching videos from authoritative sources. That's good, because misinformation is a huge concern right now. So that means legitimate news outlets. It means government agencies and health authorities like the World Health Organization. And this is part of the push that YouTube has had. We've seen a lot of other platforms doing this too. You have Facebook, Twitter, Google. Everybody's trying to push information towards proper sources so we can control more of that misinformation that's out there. There's a lot of it happening. I mean, that's not something new on the internet, but right now it's really important. And I know I say this quite a bit here, but it's really important to make sure you're getting your information from a valid source. And so that's something that is a positive sign to see, that more authoritative sources, as they call it, are being watched on YouTube. So that's a little bit of an update right there for you on that. So that's a good thing. Continuing on with this is something that I see a lot of people commenting about right now on Facebook, wanting to know more information about thermal drones. So here's what's going on. We've seen drones being used in association with both trying to catch people who are violating social distancing or violating quarantines in different countries. Now we're seeing something being tested here in the U.S. So it's going to be in the New York area where this is going to be happening. And it's from a company called Dragonfly. They're the makers of the drones. These drones are able to do some pretty incredible things. With thermal imaging, they can, as they're flying over, scan someone. They can identify fever, heart, and respiratory rate of individuals from a distance of 190 feet. So 190 feet away, they can tell whether you have a fever, whether you have respiratory issues or any of that. They can also recognize if an individual coughs or sneezes in a crowd. And we showcase there with a little bit of that imagery, just how they're able to do that and map out an arm and see if it goes up to your face and if you're sneezing or not. So there's certainly some issues there that people will have when it concerns privacy. They're saying that right now with these tests, they're not scanning any personal information. It's just taking a massive amount of data to try to analyze whether there's areas where there could be more breakouts, try to predict that, see if people are violating social distancing rules or violating quarantine. And that's what they're going to be testing out. So this is, again, taking place in the New York area right now. Actually, Westport, Connecticut is where it's taking place. But they said that they're also planning to do some more tests and roll these out to Boston and LA, maybe getting this as well. So those are a couple of other places that you might start to see this as they try to figure out how to battle COVID-19. So that's something, again, the drones rolling out there. We've got more information on that at digitaltrends.com if you want to get a little bit more in-depth with that info. All right, continuing on here with your update of tech topics at the top of the show. For all the parents out there who now have your kids at home and probably will for a while because schools are canceled pretty much everywhere, Facebook is rolling out more updates for their Messenger for Kids. So Messenger Kids is something that's not new for some areas of the world, but it's now rolling out to 70 new countries today. So some places already had it, but there are updates even for that. So this is something that's happening everywhere. The key changes are that children can now make their own friend requests. So parents can opt into letting their kids control their own ones. You will still get a notification, apparently, if they do, and you can still go in and actually control it. But that's something that you can now pass over control to them, too. And they also now will allow the parents to approve an adult, they said, such as a teacher, a coach, or another parent, to manage a group chat with their children in it. So as we see kids also, adapting to this and trying to stay in contact with everybody, this is something that's rolling out to make that a little bit easier, and that's from Facebook, who's doing that. So again, that's the update for that. We've got more details at digitaltrends.com if you want to go there and take a look, and you can see if this is something that you want to incorporate into that. But I know for a lot of people at home, this is a big concern. So there we go. Continuing on here with our, again, trending news. And I want to get through this to make sure you know this information coming up later on today at 3:37 p.m. Eastern. SpaceX is going to be launching up some more Starlink satellites. So this is their goal with Starlink being the subsidiary where they want to encompass the globe in satellites to bring us satellite internet. And that would basically allow broadband access anywhere on Earth, and that's really what their goal is. Right now, this next one, so they send up about 60 each time, or they do send 60 each time. This will bring it up to 420 total satellites if this mission is successful. It's the Starlink 6 mission, but technically they've sent 7 launches because one of them was a little bit different. But this is a lot. So the goal is to send up 30,000. They did say that with 400, they could have some basic internet access. The goal for them is to have this up and running at least for, I believe, part of North America by the end of the year with a goal of about 800 satellites. So they're really going to start picking up steam with these launches. But right now, that's where they're at with it. So again, Starlink, so their initial plan was 12,000 satellites, now going up to possibly 30,000 satellites, but that launch is going to be happening later on today, so you'll be able to watch that live, and I believe we'll be broadcasting that as well, so that's something to take a look at. But SpaceX setting up more satellites. Continuing on here with our trending news topics, and I just like to keep you up to date. Here's something that we're all should be thankful for, and we all want some entertainment at home, right? We're all streaming everything. Well, some good news as far as content, because nothing else is being produced right now, but Netflix has stated, which they kind of talked about their earnings here, where they're doing very well, not surprisingly, that a lot of people are streaming, and that they said that they have lots of completed seasons, that they should be good throughout the rest of the year and into next year before, production can pick back up on a lot of these things. So that's great. Also, Disney Plus, The Mandalorian. So The Mandalorian Season 2 apparently wrapped just in March, just before everything really went crazy with quarantine. So they were able to complete that season. They've got it there. They're actually already writing Season 3, but they said that season 2 should be on pace to come out in October because of everything else they can do from home and work remotely as far as all of the editing and everything else that needs to be done. So that is good news for everybody. We will still get The Mandalorian season 2 this year, and that's something you can read more about at digitaltrends.com.
Hey, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's now time for the product of the day.
All right, here it is. This is the Lenovo 2-in-1 11.6-inch touch screen Chromebook. So this is a Chromebook that is on sale for a really good price right now. If you've been looking for an extra screen, an extra something to have at home, this is a good idea to pick this up. So it's got a 4 gig RAM, 4 gigs of RAM, 32 gig flash memory. It's got a 360-degree flip and fold design. So this is the one where you can fold it over. There's 2-in-1s. If you've been wanting to try one of these out, they're actually really handy. It's got an HDMI output, so you can actually send something to a screen, and that's a great use too. So say you've got your regular laptop that you're using, but you want something else to just even play Netflix on and play The Mandalorian on and have it sent to another television. This is a good use for that too. It's got a built-in media reader. It's got a built-in HD webcam and with a microphone. So say your webcam kind of sucks for your meetings. Well, this might be another way to get around that and pick up a Chromebook at the same time. So it's the Lenovo. Again, this is the 2-in-1. And it's on sale right now for $181.99, which is almost $100 off of what the normal price is. So that's a pretty good deal. So what you can do is click that link that's right down there. You see it, copy it, or type it out, and then go to that link, and you can take advantage of that and take a look and see if the specs are something that you want. So that is our product of the day. All right, coming up, speaking of content, something is having its season finale coming up this Sunday, and that is Bravo Network's Family Karma. We have 2 of the stars of that show that are going to be joining us next here to talk about their life in quarantine, what it's like being a reality star and how it's changed and maybe what to expect in the season finale. So all of that's coming up. So stick around back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and again, thank you everybody for joining us wherever you are. We do appreciate it. We broadcast live here every weekday, so hit that subscribe button. And right now, we're going to talk about something that's pretty incredible. Coming up this Sunday is the season finale of Family Karma, which is Bravo's newest docuseries, which gives viewers a never-before-seen look inside the intriguing lives of 7 young Indian American friends. And we have 2 of the stars joining us right now. We've got Anisha Ramakrishna, and we've got Brian Benny. Hello to both of you. Thank you so much for being here today to talk about this. I'm really intrigued to find out how you're all doing. And I guess, Anisha, let's start with you. How have you been adapting to life in quarantine, and especially with your show airing at the same time?
Right. It's been pretty wild because we had our season premiere and then we got put into quarantine a week later. So we had one episode where we were, out and about. And basically what I've been doing is just using social media. I mean, thank God for social media. We're living in a time now where, I can meet with you, Greg. Thank you for having me, and Brian. And, I can connect with viewers on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and of course, TikTok. Like, how wild is that?
Right? Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting since this is just kind of a level playing field where we're all doing this. And Brian, for you, are you doing the same thing? Are you being involved on social media a lot?
Oh yeah, big time, big time. Yeah, just to echo what Anisha said, I mean, being locked up here in quarantine, all I have is, social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, as she said, right? So just to interact with everybody through, that following and, watching it jump and spike the way it is and getting the feedback that we are, it's really fun to enjoy that ride. And of course, quarantine at home with the family nonstop can wear on you, but it's all fun at the end of the day. So.
I think we've all gone through that before too. That's definitely happened to us. Brian, I want to ask you, you mentioned, with seeing the viewership and seeing your followers kind of increase over this, what's been one of the most surprising things you've learned from doing this docuseries?
Oh man, I would say the most surprising thing is as you said, right, the spike and all these followers are coming in. And to me, the most surprising thing is just watching how many people we're connecting to throughout, the world, Sweden, Netherlands, South Africa, Australia, Canada. I never fathomed the reach that we would have and how many people we would touch and relate to. So, that's been very surreal, very humbling for sure.
Anisha, I want to find out from you just your experience on this show, and has it been something, I guess maybe what's the most surprising thing you've learned from doing this series as well? Kind of the same question.
Yeah, well, for me, it's shocking because, I'm 35 and I really thought that a lot of the viewers would be, the quintessential Bravo demographic, women. I'm getting kids, like kids in high school are reaching out to me and watching this show. So that's been shocking to me because a lot of the viewers I've been coming across on social media have been 15 years old. It's shocking to me.
That's got to be kind of strange seeing that. Well, I mean, and talking about the what this show actually means, and one of the things I did want to touch on too is just highlighting Indian Americans and showcasing your lives. And Anisha, to you to that extent too, what's the feedback been like from people getting to see this series and getting to see something that maybe some people haven't been exposed to or weren't aware of before?
It's incredible. I get messages from viewers telling me they're learning about Indian culture, and then from people who are from immigrant families, they're telling me, hey, my grandfather's just like yours, or my brother's just like Brian, and they can relate to my mom, or mom's coming to me and telling me, oh, I feel like your mom, and women who are single telling me they can relate to me. And of course, there's also this whole other world that, as Brian said, we didn't know existed. We thought maybe mainly Indians were going to watch this show. Everyone is watching this show. And I think what's unique, a lot of people are telling me they're watching this show with their entire family.
And that's great. And like you said, just seeing this new audience find it.
Exactly.
Brian, I want to ask you, just about the show, since we do have, it is about 7 friends. Has everybody maintained their friendship through this? Because I know that could probably be a little bit trying.
Oh yeah. No, definitely. As you watch the show and you see you know, how we interact with each other, the little drama and things, the ups and downs that we go through. And it's really us getting to know each other even more so, you know, kind of the different quirks that, you know, would trigger us, you know, make us happy or upset us. So I definitely think the relationships have changed. I think some for better, some for worse. So yeah, there's definitely been a lot of change, but you know, we're still a good group of friends. We're still very close.
And I didn't want to, try to bring out any spoilers from you, but I know the season finale is coming up. Is there, what should people expect from it? What can you say about that people could expect? Maybe Anisha, maybe you could fill us in, or if you can tell us anything about what's coming up.
I think, by the way, we see it when you guys see it. So we really haven't seen the finale either. So that's what's amazing about this show as well. We're watching it just when you're watching it. So what I will say about the season finale, from the little I know, because, I was there, is I think you're going to see that in life, in a group of friends, it's natural to have, ebbs and flows in relationships. And you're going to see a lot of our culture come through and those strong family ties, in the season finale. That's what I will say, that our culture is deeply rooted in family. And I think you're going to see that.
Do we know if there's going to be a season 2?
No, I wish I knew. We do not know. Fingers crossed. Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
the fingers crossed on that. Oh, Brian, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was saying fingers crossed. But yeah, we always, season finale, in typical Bravo fashion, always ends with a bang. So it'll definitely be big. It'll be big, and you'll see a lot of things come to fruition.
Well, I want to say, congratulations on the success of this. It's got to be, strange going into quarantine right when it's launching, but at least now we have social media to connect to see how many people are watching this and what a connection you've made, you both have made, and the entire show has made to so many different people, and especially at a time when we need connections, right? We need something like this, so that's really great, and I just want to say congratulations on the success, and looking forward to the season finale. And Anisha and Brian, thank you so much for being here on Digital Trends Live.
Thank you so much. Be sure to tune in Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Bravo.
Season finale.
There it is. Season finale coming up. All right, Brian and Anisha, thank you so much. All right, so again, Digital Trends Live, and thank you so much to them. So that's really cool. So the Bravo Network coming up this Sunday, like they said, the season finale, which gives you time to catch up. If you haven't watched it yet, catch up on it. All right, coming up here, we've got a lot more here on Digital Trends Live, and I want to thank everybody joining us. We've got Luke Larson, who's going to be here next, talking about some of the rumors with Microsoft. So we know that Apple's got some products on the way. It's already released a few. What's Microsoft doing? Well, it sounds like some pretty big things. So that's coming up next. We'll talk about that right here on Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Again, thank you very much for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button, and you get to join in the conversations we get to have and learn about all kinds of things. And right now, we're going to talk about some rumors. What is going to be happening with Microsoft? Some new Surface products, possibly. That is something that we're going to be discussing here in just a few, because we're going to have our own Luke Larson, who's going to be joining us. And he's on his way. He's on his way right now. So why don't I do this as we are going through this? Let's recap just a little bit of what's going on in the news. And as I said earlier, Zoom is going to be doing some updates. So if you are on Zoom, which I'm on Zoom right now, they are going to be running some updates, which are going to be some security updates. They're going to allow you to kind of control a little bit more about what's going on. So that is something that we've been learning about today as that's happening. Also, I want to tell you this when it comes to our content and what we're watching. Okay, there we go. So taking a look there at Zoom. So again, the Zoom security updates that are coming through. So you'll notice that update as it starts rolling out today, and it's going to give you a lot more control over what you can do. And I know for businesses, for us that are having our meetings and things like that over Zoom, that's something you want, because Zoom bombing has been an issue. Something else I didn't bring up earlier was actually just about that, in that there have now been some federal prosecutors saying that there could be some big issues, some actual crimes and charges that could be filed for those that do Zoom bomb. And if you're harassing people, that's kind of good. There could be charges. So they're looking into that to figure out how to do that. So that is something that we could definitely be seeing. Something else that I can update you on right now is that Motorola has launched a new phone. So we do know that some new products have been coming out. We know that Apple had their iPhone SE last week. We did know that Motorola was going to be launching this. They've got the Moto Edge Plus, which is a 6.7-inch curved OLED, 108 megapixel camera. So another trend there where we're seeing a lot of these cameras getting huge. What are you going to use 108 megapixels for? I don't know. But nonetheless, it's cool to have. So that is Motorola coming out with that. They've got two different phones that came out, and we've got reviews actually up at digitaltrends.com, where you can go there and take a look. Like I said, 108 megapixel camera, telephoto, and ultra wide. It's got 5,000 milliamp battery, which is basically more than 2 full days of a charge, at least according to them. So that's great, seeing these batteries get longer. Stop having to find somewhere to charge it. Even at home, I forget to charge my phone and I run the battery down. So that's nice as well. It's got the Snapdragon 865 chip, 12 gigs of RAM, and 5G. So that's all the Motorola phone. And coming up here, like I said, we're going to have Luke Larson join us to talk about Microsoft. But that is what we know about the Motorola phone right there. Okay, so talking about products, product releases, right? So there you go. There's a little update on Motorola. We know that Apple released some, but what about Microsoft? That is what we're talking about right now. What are the trends with Microsoft? What can we expect? And to talk about this, we have our own Luke Larson joining us. Luke, hello. Thank you for joining the show. And I want to talk to you about this because I am excited to know what Microsoft is going to be releasing, or what we think. Let's walk through some of this. What are we expecting?
Hey, Greg. So usually Microsoft has a spring event, and normally that would have been in March. And from what we can tell, it was supposed to be a late March event. But obviously things have been, who knows what's going on these days. So there are like Apple, there's a series of products that are floating out there that we're kind of waiting to see what Microsoft does in terms of releasing these products, whether they do kind of a virtual event or just kind of release them one by one. But there is some exciting stuff here. Some of the stuff that we know about, some are kind of revisions of older products. I guess the place I would start with the things that are pertaining to me and computing here. So the Surface Go 2 and the Surface Book 3. These are both kind of interesting computing products. Obviously, everything Microsoft does in terms of Surface, they have these interesting form factors. So starting with the Surface Go 2, this is the sequel to the original Surface Go. It's the smallest Surface in Microsoft's lineup. And this was released the original years ago. So now we're going to get an update to that. And the only thing we know about it so far is the recent reports have been saying that it's going to have a slightly larger screen, a 10.5-inch screen, and some thinner bezels finally. So we're going to finally get some thinner bezels on the Surface products. I don't know if it'll be quite the iPad Pro level, but it'll be some of the revisions that way, and also going to have a updated processors and whatnot. And then the Surface Book 3, some people don't know about this product, but it's really an interesting computing product. It has this interesting fulcrum hinge, which can be basically you can pull the screen off completely, use it in tablet mode, then flip the screen around and reattach it to the hinge. It's going to get its third version of that. Bunch of different reports out there about how it's going to be changed. Probably not a big redesign, but actually it's going to be a lot more power in this product potentially, which has always been kind of my, it's a cool, interesting like idea, but like without enough power, it never really felt like a product that had much use case. Obviously, it's great for you can use it with the stylus, the Surface Pen, but there's a 13-inch and a 15-inch version, so we're going to see what those products end up looking like exactly. But those are definitely two that we're going to expect to see coming this spring sometime.
Sometime, yeah, and that's kind of the key, right? It's just hard to say when these companies are going to be releasing everything, but we've got that. So that is the Surface Go 2, Surface Book 3. So seeing some updates on those, and I'm taking a look here. Just what else can we expect from Microsoft coming up? What are we looking at? Because I know Apple has their rumors of maybe some new AirPods. Is Microsoft going that same direction too?
Yeah, so kind of lumping those together, those were the kind of computing products. We know those are for sure going to be coming at some point in the near future. And just to throw it out there, release date wise, I think I would anticipate this happening sometime in the next month. I think an early May date for announcement would make a lot of sense, because Microsoft also has Build coming up in May and kind of later in the month. So I'm sure we're going to see this happen before Build. Build being the online version of Build, of course. So besides those two competing products, there's also been, like you said, some rumored audio products. So the first one is the Surface earbuds, which those were announced last year, and they got delayed. So you may have been wondering, like, what happened to those things? If you remember, the design of it got a lot of buzz because they're in a wireless earbud, but they are pretty large, and they sit in the ear kind of in an interesting way. And for whatever reason, we don't know if Microsoft went back and actually changed the design of it, but they got pushed to much later than we originally thought. So I think we're going to expect to see some kind of a release of those this spring with maybe some more details about price, but the big feature there is the long battery life, and that's why they're a little bit larger than some of the other wireless earbuds out there. And then the second audio product is a follow-up to the Surface headphones, which is an over-ear headphone that Microsoft released a couple years ago at this point. Really nice, about a year and a half ago. Really nice pair of headphones, and interestingly, Apple also has a over-ear headphone rumored to be in the works. So it could see that Microsoft kind of anticipate that and follow up. We don't really know any of the changes that are going to be happening with these headphones, but we do know they're being worked on, and there's a possibility that they could get some kind of an announcement this spring.
Nice. The one thing that I know that Microsoft kind of unveiled, and we haven't really seen a completely finished version yet, I don't think, of the Surface Duo. Any idea when that could maybe come out? That kind of phone double screen thing that they've got.
Yeah. So these are some of Microsoft's most anticipated products for sure. Here's the thing. So recently, about a month ago, which feels like years ago at this point, but the Surface Neo and Windows 10X, that's kind of been rumored to be pushed to, it was supposed to come out later this year, but that's been pushed to 2021. However, the Surface Duo, which is the phone that runs on Android, actually been pushed up in the schedule from what all the reporting is saying. So that was also supposed to launch in kind of holiday 2020. But now I think we're seeing a lot of this phone out and about, people using it, like Microsoft executives, and there's been a lot of rumors about this thing being done and kind of they're ready to ship it. I don't think it's going to ship this spring, but a lot of the reporting is saying that we could get this announced at the same time as these other products with a release date, a shipping date in the summer. So that's pretty exciting because I think, people were kind of bummed out about the fact that the other dual screen Surface stuff is going to be a ways away at this point, as Microsoft continues to work on the software and that PC side of things. But this is Android, and they've had the hardware was done when they announced it. So I think this thing is pretty much ready to go. And I would say, depending on how they're doing with manufacturing and whatnot, I think we could see this get announced this spring with a shipping date in the summer. But we don't know for sure. But I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that.
That's great, actually. That's better than what I thought. I figured maybe this would be delayed out further. Again, just anticipating. We don't know anything 100%, but that's pretty cool. Well, I know we've got write-ups about kind of all of this, too, at Digital Trends and what we're expecting. And plus, if people want to go back and take a look at some of the older versions of these, they can do so there. And Luke, as always, great to talk to you. And I guess I'll talk to you next week, if not sooner, to bring us up to date on everything going on in computing.
Thanks, Greg.
All right. Thanks a lot, Luke. There's Luke Larson, our computing editor right there. Okay, continuing on here with the show. We've got more for you. Again, thanks to everybody who's joining us, whatever platform you're on. Hit subscribe, share the show, let other people know about it. Coming up next, we've got musician Stefano Langone on, who's going to be talking about where he's at right now with quarantine, how's he staying creative, what kind of apps is he using. We're going to ask him a few different things, so that's coming up next, so stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and again, thank you for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it, and I know most of you are at home because that's what we're all doing right now. This is a little part of my basement where we've created this set, but everybody's working from home, and it's fascinating to see how we're all adapting to that, and that includes some of our favorite artists. And joining us right now, we have Stefano, and first off, I want to say thank you so much for joining us here on the show, and I guess my first question I'm kind of asking everybody is, how are you holding up during quarantine?
Well, if I'm being 100% honest, it was not easy, man. It took about 2 weeks for me to kind of acclimate myself into this new way of life. I had a lot of friends that are like, oh man, it should be easy for you. You know, you got your piano set up at your home, you know, you got your little studio. And I'm such a doer, I'm such a goer. Like I love going to the studio. I love being on stage. You know, I travel around the country with Babyface. So it was definitely hard to sit still for a second and really, you know, kind of, again, acclimate myself in this way of life. But I think after that, like two-week mark, I was like, okay, I'm like settling now. Like my heart, like I'm not getting that anxiety of like, what the hell am I doing? I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. So I'm good now. I'm good. I'm back. I got my whole situation now is all, you know, quarantine proof, you know, so we're back.
Nice. Well, I mean, talking about that, you know, performing and being on stage and just not being able to go do that like you normally would be able to. How have you been adapting when it comes to social media? Like, what have you been engaging with your fans, engaging with different ways to be creative on that?
Well, honestly, I'm addicted to TikTok now. So like that is a thing. And before I wasn't. So, you know, honestly, it's really, really helped out with social media. I'm kind of definitely love the personal interaction with people. And I'm not the best at making sure I'm posting everything. Now it's like, okay, well, I don't feel accomplished in a day if I'm not posting enough, you know, because I'm not connecting. So I'm such like I love going out, meeting people, you know, performing live all over LA, all over the country, really, and meeting people and seeing people. Now that I don't have that, it's like the only way I can do that is through my social media. So my social media numbers have kind of jumped. I'm on there all the time, and the TikTok, my wife is huge into the dances and stuff. So I'm like, all of a sudden now I'm doing all this TikTok stuff, which is hilarious, but it's all worked out.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, talking about, you know, connecting on social media and Instagram in particular, there's been so many different live concerts. And I did have a question come through, you know, mentioning Babyface. How did you feel about the Babyface versus Teddy Riley thing that went down there on Instagram?
Well, I mean, first of all, the memes were hilarious, you know, with the technical difficulties. I think, but honestly, at the end of the day, after you know, all that kind of went aside, the actual competition, you know, the verse competition was really great. And they had over 5 million viewers, I think, that tuned in to see them. And it for me, people loving real great music still and connecting. I mean, you know, you could say that they're out of the like pop culture, you know, fresh new kind of outlook on social media. They're not really a part of that world, but it didn't matter. And I think now, because they actually were able to they had that platform to put the music out, it's like, wow, they are now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you get a meme and you are now part of, you know, you're cemented in pop culture, I guess now, which is hilarious. But,
right,
you know, to have a competition like that where they're playing all these old school songs that are just, you know, I mean, they're part of, you know, the beginning of that soulful like R&B vibe. They were the kings of that, and to see that really blossom and kill it like it did was amazing, you know. So I think Kenny, like Babyface, jumped up 750,000 followers in like 2 days.
Wow.
So which is crazy. But yeah, I was a proud, you know, pupil of my mentor, you know, to see him like on there, like just smashing it. I had him win by 2. That was just me. There were 20 rounds. I had him up by 2.
Nice. Well, talking about performing, I like that too. I know you have a performance coming up that you're going to be part of and I want to make sure I say it right, the Youth Emerging Stronger virtual gala that's going to be coming
Yes.
up. Can you tell us about that and everything that's going on with it?
Yeah, so it's the Yes Foundation, and they're located here in LA, and they've been working with homeless children and kids that don't have really a place in society or don't feel that way, anyways. And they've been helping kids out for over 35 years. So this is an incredible foundation to be a part of, and we are celebrating and honoring the Chainsmokers this weekend. And Eve is going to be hosting the show. And it's kind of crazy how things work out and how you get to be a part of these kinds of things. And it's just an honor, to be able to go out and sing a couple songs and kind of just share a moment of gratitude with my voice and give some people some light, and something really cool to listen to and vibe out to in kind of a crazy time right now.
Right. I think that's awesome. And congratulations on being a part of that, number one, and just like you said, using your creativity and your voice to actually help some people out and be able to do that.
Sure.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
To give everybody an idea of where to follow you, you mentioned TikTok. What is your handle on TikTok? How do we follow you?
Yeah. So my TikTok is hilarious. It's every time we talk about the TikTok thing, it's hilarious because I was one of those like never TikTokers. I'm never gonna get a TikTok. Now I'm like on there. I'm Stefano Langone on my TikTok, and that's my last name is Langone. It's Stefano Music on Instagram and just Stefano on Twitter. So Twitter, Instagram is just my first name, and then the TikTok is my first and last. Because I was gonna be one of those pseudo no one's gonna know who I am, and then now I'm like, oh man, here we go. So follow me on TikTok.
Now you're all about
come
it.
see your boy.
All right. Well, hey, Stefano, thank you so much for joining us here. Really appreciate you being on Digital Trends Live. Looking forward to the concert coming up and seeing that and how that all works out. And, congratulations on everything. Thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure, man. Thank you.
Thank you. So that is Stefano. Again, follow him on all of those. I'm going to follow him on TikTok right after this. All right, we've got more coming up, though, because we not only have TBD, which is going to be on here in just a little bit with Jess Serba and, of course, Adrian Warner, but we also have Riley Wynn, who sat down with Michael Pittman Jr., well, virtually, let's be honest. Nobody actually meets anymore, but virtually talked to him about the NFL draft. It's coming up tomorrow, in case you forgot. It's going to be big, but it's all going to be remote, and so we're going to talk to him about that, and Riley has that interview coming up right after this break, so stick around back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live.
What's up, guys? I'm Riley Wynn with Digital Trends. Today, I am joined by a very special guest. We have former USC wide receiver and now NFL draft prospect, Michael Pittman Jr. Michael, thanks for joining us.
No problem. How's it going?
It's going great. Just living the quarantine life. How about yourself?
Same. I mean, basically, I've been living that quarantine life too, but I've been squeezing in my workouts, and we work out in groups of 3. So we keep our numbers down and we wipe up the racks and we wash our hands before we weight lift. And then for my field work, we work in groups of 4. So we're just keeping numbers low and staying safe, wearing our masks and getting our work in.
So we're going to talk a lot about the draft today just because this is the first year that they're doing it virtually. But before we get into that, a mutual friend of ours was telling me before we had this conversation that you had a YouTube channel with your girlfriend. How did that start?
So that started with her wanting to do a YouTube channel. So she wanted to do a couples channel for a long time now, for almost 4 years now. We've been going out for 7 years, and she wanted to do it for 4. And I finally cracked and bought a camera. And then we didn't start till my senior year, like right before my senior season is when we started. We started during our summer portion of football camp. And ever since then, we just kept going, and we're seeing some success now. We're at 81K, I believe, today. So, and it's only going up. It goes up every day. So pretty soon we'll get that silver play button.
And you said you bought a camera, so I have to ask, what camera are you using, and do you edit it yourself?
We bought a Canon M50 EOS, and honestly, I don't do any of the editing. I don't do any of the filming. I'm just in the videos, and she literally does it all. She does she cuts it up, she makes the video, she posts it, she writes the caption, she does all the promos for it. She literally does everything.
One thing about the NFL draft that I've always been really interested by is the Wonderlic test. So, so for the people in our audience that aren't aware of what that is, it's essentially an IQ test that NFL players take before the NFL draft. And it's 50 questions, 12 minutes, and it's just a bunch of different kind of random questions, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Wonderlic test, it's something different. It's something that I've never really I never knew that it existed until the combine. But I actually got a pretty good score on it. I got a 29 out of 50. So which I think is pretty good. They posted it on Twitter, and I think that I had the highest score. But it's harder than it sounds because you have to go fast. And you have 12 minutes to finish 50 questions. And the questions are math and English questions. And some of them are really long, multi-step problems that take up time. So you have to go fast and answer them right at the same time. So it's an added difficulty.
So this year the draft is virtual, first time ever because of the coronavirus, unfortunately. Well, with your dad, he is a former NFL player. He's gone through the draft process before. What kind of advice has he been able to give you, even though everything is a lot different for you?
Yeah, his advice is to just enjoy the day, because it can be so stressful and so tense. So he just wants me to enjoy the day and stay calm, and then whatever happens.
And with it being virtual, does it feel different? It's definitely, everything is different right now, but does it feel different than what you had imagined as a kid on draft day?
A little bit, but I was planning to be in my own house anyway. Except I was planning to have a family party that we're not having now. But other than that, I was planning on being low key and staying home for it. So it's not really a big change for me because it's kind of in my plans the whole time. But the only thing that was really different was the fact that we didn't have a pro day, which that hurt the guys that didn't get to go to the combine, and also it didn't let me show everything that I've been working on after the combine and during the whole draft process. So, but other than that, everything is pretty much just not pretty much the same, but we've never gone through it, so it's almost we have nothing to compare it to. We have no real life experience compare it to, because this is our first time too. So
are you going to
looking at it now?
Are you going to watch the whole thing? Because I feel like the draft normally is really fun to watch, and I think it's going to be a lot different and a little bit harder to watch this year, just because Roger Goodell is going to be in his house. Everyone's going to be in their house. It's not going to be that big stage. Is it going to be as fun? That's my question.
Well, I don't even think it has to be that fun, because it's the only sports event on TV. It's basically the only new thing that's happening on TV, so people are gonna watch it anyway. So it doesn't even have to be super entertaining, because everybody's gonna sit there and watch because there's nothing else on.
We ask all of our guests this because we are a tech media company. What's one piece of technology you can't live without?
Ooh, that's tough. Actually, no, that's easy. That's probably my phone, like which one I'm talking to you on right now. It's my iPhone, and I just can't see myself living without a phone because you got to contact people. And I've been like working through, like I've been working through like this, like through this phone. This phone is basically helping me like contact teams and schedule things and schedule workouts and stay in touch with like everything that's going on. So it would definitely have to be the phone.
And last question, where can people go to follow you, especially on draft day?
Yes, so you can check out my YouTube channel because we will be posting a video about draft day. You can check out my Instagram at Michael Pittman Jr. And that's probably the best place to find out like what I'm doing.
Michael, thanks so much. We hope to see you go high on draft day, and thanks again.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
That was it for us, guys. Until next time, I'm Riley Wynn with Digital Trends, and thanks for watching.
Well, hello, it's Digital Trends Live. Thank you for joining us wherever you are. We do appreciate it. Again, we broadcast live here every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, from wherever we possibly can, which is my house. That's where I'm at right now. But joining us right now for another segment of TBD, we have from their respective homes. Number one, we have Jess Suraba. Hello, Jess. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Greg. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Doing good.
Good.
You know,
Good.
making the show happen here.
How about you down there? How you doing?
I'm good, Jess. Good to see you.
Yes, and of course, Adrian Warner here for today. So Jess and Adrian every Wednesday have TBD, which is a segment where actually, I don't know what we're going to talk about, and that's the whole point of it. So Adrian, tell us, what are we talking about today?
Thank you, Greg. Good to see you as always. So this week, as we know, TBD is always a mystery. This week it stands for the Biodome because we're going to be talking all about Earth Day. And Earth Day is today. It is always on April 22nd. So before we get into things, I want to ask you, Greg, have you ever partaken in any Earth Day festivities over the years?
Just gonna call me out like that. I think, I do remember as a kid planting a lot of trees. I know that we used to go out and do that, so I know that was part of it. I mean, I'm an aficionado. I'm a fan. I can't say that I participated in a lot of events, and I probably should.
That's okay, because we're going to get to telling you all about a bunch of Earth Day events that are going on, but I just want to backtrack a little bit and kind of tell you guys a little bit about Earth Day and how Earth Day came about, because it's the 50th anniversary, if you can believe it. It's the 50th anniversary of Earth Day today. It originally started back in 1970, and it was really, truly a huge grassroots movement. It kind of got kicked off originally in the 60s by Wisconsin Senator Gaylord Nelson, but it grew into a huge movement of over 20 million Americans that went and took to the streets on April 22nd, 1970, and they protested, and thus Earth Day was born. And it was really widely supported, both by the public as well as celebrities and other politicians. Something that's really cool, a little, factoid, is the New York City mayor at the time closed off a portion of Fifth Avenue for several hours and spoke at a rally in Union Square alongside really famous actors like Paul Newman and Ally McGraw. And so from there, it's always been taking place on April 22nd and has a lot of support around the world, continues to have really notable moments like the Clean Air and Clean Water and Endangered Species Act were created in first response to Earth Day in 1970. And then the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency also came out of Earth Day. And Earth Day continues to hold major international significance. In 2016, United Nations chose Earth Day as when the Paris Agreement was signed to enact climate change around the world. So it's a really historic movement. It's really exciting to see it in its 50th year. And it's at a really interesting time, too. We're taking a look around the world and seeing how COVID-19 is affecting the Earth right now and kind of the response in climate change. And, quarantine has actually kind of had a positive effect in a lot of drops in emissions around the world. Some interesting facts that came out of that is a climate change group called Carbon Brief found that emissions from just China alone have dropped 25% in the face of the pandemic. And, just in New York City, carbon monoxide emissions dropped 50%. So, this is having a huge effect on the climate in general. But we know that once we come out of it, that emission change or emission levels are just going to come back up again, kind of like we saw it after the 2008 recession. So it's an interesting time to kind of take a pause and really think about, the systemic change that we can do world round. And so that's why we want to talk about some of the really awesome events that are going on in coordination with Earth Day.
Nice. That is a solid history of Earth Day. Now I can pretend like I already knew that all ahead of time. So that's fantastic. And with the emissions and all of that stuff, that has been really cool to see that. And now, you mentioned the events, different things that we can do in this strange time that we're in. And Jess, what are some of the things that are going on?
Yeah, Greg. So of course, all gatherings and in-person events did have to be canceled. Some are actually looking at just being postponed, whether that's just through like the half-year mark in October or whether that looks like Earth Day next year. But many events actually did transition online, and there are a lot of events happening, globally for Earth Day. I think the first one to look at is Earth Day Network's event. Earth Day Network actually grew out of the very first Earth Day. And one of their main missions is to demand that leaders take science seriously, that they listen to their people, that they push for action, at every level of society, and that they, as they say, do everything they can to stop the rising tide of climate change. They're actually doing a 24-hour live stream featuring global conversations, calls to action, performances, video, teach-ins with people such as Pope Francis, Steve Ballmer, Senator Elizabeth Warren, and Dave Matthews. And I do think it is actually very interesting. The Earth Day theme this year is climate action. So again, incredibly important. Something I saw on their site that I thought was really cool is the Earth Challenge 2020 app. And what this does is essentially turns all citizens into scientists. It allows you to gather scientific data around you. It lets users measure the air quality and the plastic pollution in their area to help researchers identify regions that are most affected by climate change. So really interesting, check that out. Next, we have Earth Day Live, which is a 72-hour, three-day clearly event that's going to be live streamed starting today. This is hosted by a broader partnership of environmental groups called the Future Coalition. And they're having a bunch of celebrity camos as well, including Al Gore, Jane Fonda, Joaquin Phoenix, and a bunch of other musical performances. So definitely something to check out too. Then we have NASA. NASA has been basically doing a month-long Earth Day with their hashtag Earth Day at Home. And today they have many, many things planned. They have their NASA Science Live, which is broadcast featuring environmental experts exploring topics like green technology, coral reefs and things such as that. They have a new YouTube playlist that features a series of short videos from Earth science experts. They're hosting a Q&A from the International Space Station. They're hosting a Q&A on their Tumblr blog. And they also have Jessica Meir, who just recently returned from the International Space Station, who is basically taking over their Instagram for the whole day. So many, many places out there that you can check out definitely live Earth Day events.
Nice. That is, I want to see all of those. I'm not a big Dave Matthews fan, though, so I may have to skip that part. That's the only one, though, that I'm otherwise.
You don't go to the
rest
big
of it
festival
sounds
in the gorge.
great. Yeah, no, you won't ever find me there. But that's all right. That's all awesome. So some great things to watch and stream. And I know, when it comes to TBD as well, there's something else that's a part of this show every week. What do we have here now?
That's right. It's our Kick Stop It segment that we love to take a look at the very wild world of crowdfunding and look at products that, make us think or ask questions. And this week's product is called the Briiv. It's BRIIV. And it's an air filter that's made out of all natural products. And so, tying in with the theme, I thought that this was kind of a perfect fit. It's all compostable, so it's moss, charcoal, coconut fibers, and then a sheep wool filter at the bottom. And the company's mission was to build an entirely kind of sustainable air filter. Even the plastic parts at the bottom are made to be recycled or eco-friendly, and all of the materials are compostable after they're used. Now, I kind of have a hard time believing that this isn't just like moss in a jar. I question a little bit what they're selling me.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at it. It does look like somebody just went outside and threw some moss and dirt, into a jar. That's a pretty accurate description. I guess, the idea is good.
Adrian, what's the price point we're looking at on this?
I believe it was in pounds, and it was around 129 pounds. So I didn't do the conversion on that yet, but it probably around like 150 or 175. So, kind of comparable with nicer air filters out there. I believe the Dyson is like around like 300 or 400. So if it works, I'm all for it because it looks really nice on top of being sustainable. But I kind of would want to make sure that it works first before investing in it.
Yeah.
If this is actual like moss, isn't it just going to like eventually dry up? Like how is it sustainable?
That's a great question for the FAQ section. I don't know.
Yeah, so moss essentially it captures like the large matter, like dust and animal dander. So I think that's the point of that. I was just kind of looking through to like the different things, like the carbon is activated charcoal pulls the odors from the air. The coconut has different traps. It traps harmful substances from the air. So I don't know what that means specifically, but coconut does something.
Well, right? Well, I guess the bottom line is kickstart it or kick stop it. Adrian, what would you say?
I have to say, even though I'm kind of making fun of it, I love the concept. So I'd say kickstart it because even if it's not crazy effective, it's doing something and it'll look nice.
All right, Jess.
Yeah, it's Earth Day. I'm kickstarting it. Let's do it. It's really beautiful, and I definitely would love to err on the side of sustainable and of non-toxic in my home. So I'm on board.
Well, purely out of guilt, I'm going to kickstart it as well. So that's where I'm at on it. So kickstart it. That is that edition of Kickstop It. So again, that's the Briiv that you can take a look at here. And as we round out this segment of TBD, we of course need to go to Charlie Cam. There he is.
There he is. I've been really obsessed with his happy dance lately. He does this every single time he eats. He just rubs his body on the floor like a slug. It's great.
Well, there we go, Charlie Cam to round out this episode of TBD. And Jess and Adrian, always good to talk to you. I'll talk to you soon. And thanks for another edition of TBD.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, and thank you everybody for tuning in too. We appreciate all of you who join this show every single day. Digital Trends Live, we start broadcasting at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. We've got lots of stuff to talk about every single day and lots of great interviews. Thanks to all of our guests from today. Coming up on tomorrow's episode of the show, well, it's time for Real News, where we'll keep you up to date with what's going on at the box office. And, well, nothing's going on at the box office, but what's going on with Hollywood productions and happening there. We've got some more great interviews for you, lots of stuff to talk about, and, of course, we'll have our gaming segment as well. Keep you up to date on that. And thank you, everybody, again, for joining us. I really appreciate it. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. I'll see you right back here tomorrow for another edition of, what's it again? Digital Trends Live. Thanks.